Lupin III has been one of my favorite series as of recent, with me watching several of the films. Lupin III the First, the Detective Conan OVA, the one from the 70s. But today, I want to talk about one of my favorite films by far, the Castle of Cagliostro, specifically the villain from that movie, the Count. The Count is the demonstration of evil against the kind-hearted hero within Lupin, and is the villain that seeks to take the damsel as a captive in her own life. As the formal first Lupin movie I had ever watched, and as of current, my favorite, this is the analysis of evil of the Count. My name is Talon Talks, enjoy. So, for context, Lupin and Jigen rob a casino, realize the money is fake, find a woman, break into a castle, fight the Count, get beaten, come back and win by killing him in his own castle? Wow, okay. Let's back up just a touch by starting with one of the first major parts of this movie. Who is Clarice? The world in this movie is one that exists due to the Count and Clarice. Clarice being the woman the Count seeks to marry and take the castle. Clarice is our damsel, but what is her purpose past that? She is what brings Lupin to our villain. She is weak and cannot fight for herself. But a character like that isn't necessarily boring, but an opportunity to create one of the best characters you've ever seen. Not just within her, not just within the main protagonist, but also within the villain. But Clarice being this captive, and too pathetic to leave, is the entire reason for this movie to exist. Without Clarice, the Count wouldn't exist, and without the Count, the movie wouldn't exist. The world that Clarice wishes to see is just out of reach, just so close, with this blue sky that illuminates our world, showing us that is her goal very well. Using this sky is a way to show endless freedom with no bounds, a point accentuated by the whites and blues in her design. Clarice's colors. The Castle of Cagliostro movie uses a variety of storytelling methods to get its point across. The dialogue is perfect, but what I want to talk about for a second is the visual storytelling. Look at Clarice's designs. Woman, red hair, yeah, cool, whatever. However, if you look at other details, such as her blue eyes and white dress, and you start to realize that there's an entire story being shown to us that the dialogue cannot work without. Blue being used here is nothing more than an underlying color. It's being used to show what she seeks, what she's looking for. She's only ever after one thing: freedom. Blue being used here can mean a sadness that she cannot leave or isn't allowed to by the Count. But it also has another meaning when we bring the Count into this. Blue is being used in a genius manner here. Both the sadness in her situation and her eyes constantly being on the endless expanse of the blue sky for her freedom. Whereas blue is the freedom and the sadness she feels from not being able to attain it, white is hope. A hope for a new beginning, as she looms for the one who would eventually save her, Lupin. Lupin who will save her and bring her to a new beginning without the Count. A beginning where she can be free. The colors here being the prominent white and blue that we not just see in her dress and in her eyes, in the sky, but also on the very flag that sits at the castle, but also in the villain. And to delve into this point, what would be the opposite of those colors? Red and black. The exact colors worn by our villain, the Count. When Lupin initially saves her from the fall, we see the white and blue castle, showing us that the life that he saved belongs to this girl. Once again, showing us those two colors that we've come to know very well. Two colors being used for freedom and hope, being used to imprison this girl by the Count. And I want you all to notice one more thing: the contrast in the outside versus the inside of this castle. The entire castle has one prominent color throughout: red. The Count's colors. Whereas blue shows the sadness in the girl for her situation, and the white being the hope for a new future, the Count uses the two opposites, red and black. Red is the Count, the natural color of danger. Look throughout this castle. Notice that every scene, red is extremely present. On the walls, on the floors, curtains, dresswear, even on the Count himself, red is everywhere. It doesn't matter where you go inside this castle, it's all red, it's all dangerous. Whereas black is also there in some respect as well, the color of emptiness. Black shows the emptiness, giving us no hope. It's being used to contrast here with the white, because both of these are opposite colors. Therefore, if white is hope, black is hopelessness. Here as well, it's being used to show the bleakness in the situation. It's being used to combat against the color white as its opposite. Not just being used in one way, but using its meaning to show that there is nothing and no one that can save Clarice. There is no hope. And when you go to the wedding, there is finally one more color present: purple. Purple here actually serves far more meanings, and can actually relate to everything here. Purple is a royal color, which is very evident in the Count's design. This castle is his, but it especially relates to his design when he almost marries Clarice. A purple cloak is perceived as ambition, it's luxurious, but it's also being used to mask the danger that is the Count, because when he has this cloak around him, red is not present. The purple he's using is for his victory. He wins. Purple also being used like this is fantastic, because no one wants to mess with him. Specifically, no government either wants to mess with him. It apparently would be bad press. With all this happening, he is simply untouchable. This purple showing that he is the most powerful person in this movie, and possibly the world. With another way of this being used being right around when his secret is revealed to the world, making counterfeit currency. He sheds his cloak to show his literal true colors: red. And where it relates to the rest of the movie here is with the castle itself being used to mask the danger of red within, using the colors white and blue. Purple being used to mask the red, the danger from the world, in the Count's design. But purple also here can be used to mix Clarice's blue with the Count's red. Once again, this movie could not exist without either one of them. The fight between colors has been evident since when they first entered the castle's grounds. From the castle to its insides to the characters and their clothing. Everything being used in this visual storytelling is near perfect. Miyazaki is once again the king of the animation medium. But now, with this all taken care of, let's explain why Lupin is the perfect foil for the Count. Lupin throughout is selfish. He has friends around him who he would die for, and people around him who would save him no matter what. And all around is the hero of any good story, despite the fact that he is a crook. He is trying to save this one girl with little to no benefit to himself, risking his life to do so, and to a point where she is willing to die for him. Remember that. The Count is selfish, taking everything for himself and using those around him for personal gain, and is all around the villain of any good story, despite being the Count. He's trying to claim it all for himself, no matter who he needs to kill, whether it be Lupin, Clarice, or Zenigata. He's willing to catch a body for his goal. The Count is beloved while Lupin is villainized. Notice that plot point. While minor, does wonders here, at least in the smallest of ways. This is all despite the opposite being true, with the point being used to set up the ending of this very film. This too plays into color theory, though this may very well be a stretch, using purple as a camouflage to hide the Count's true colors from the world, that being red, while Lupin wears a priest attire of red just to peel it off and show his true color to the world, green. Purple is the color of royalty, shielding the danger of red, with that very red being the same danger shielding the growth of the color green. Like I said, maybe just a fluke point, maybe not even something intentional. I would like to think against that at the very least. I get Lupin's design at this point, he's always in a green jacket, but I do believe that there may be a little something to look into here. The fight between these two is a fight for one girl's life, one who wants to imprison her and the other who wants to free her. Lupin up to this point has been shown to be that hero that the Count must extinguish as the villain. Lupin battles his way not just through the castle, but also the clock tower, even facing off on the hands of the tower itself. Even this high, Lupin is still focused on saving Clarice. But what about the Count? He's focused on getting the treasure of this movie and what it had building up to for over an hour at this point. Now this isn't about the fight, more or less it's about the characters and what they bring to the fight, and specifically it's about the villain. We love our fights to death, but please watch this movie if you're truly that interested, because genuinely it's just that fantastic. The duel on the clock's face does this entire movie justice. It's a fight that has several purposes that all relate to the ending of this film with a bang. Not only did he cast Clarice off the clock tower, but sent Lupin off by proxy. Lupin from the start to now wasn't after this treasure, but he was after this one person that he had met just one time before. The definition of a hero is a real or fictional character who, in the face of danger, combats adversity through feats of ingenuity, courage, or strength. Lupin has shown each and every time one of these feats, time after time, to help push the plot and help this innocent person, showing most when Lupin jumps off to save her one last time, before this glorious film ends. The definition of a villain is a stock character, whether based on historical narrative or one of literary fiction. They can be defined as a character, a cruelly malicious person who is involved in or is devoted to wickedness or crime, or a character in a play, novel, or the like, who constitutes an important evil agency in the plot. The Count throughout has been shown to be this very definition. In his mannerisms, in his actions, in his design, in his concept, he is the villain, with him finally managing to attain his goal. But much like how curiosity had killed the cat, the very thing that the Count had sought would end up leading to his death. But just before the Count dies, he places 2 rings in the clock tower, starting his own clock and finalizing his fate, to be beheaded by this clock that hides the same treasure that he had been seeking out. Much like this movie, his clock was ticking too, killing the Count for good, peeling back the curtains on this movie, and presenting a perfect finale. When Lupin and Clarice fall from the tower, they fall towards the water, a blue, endless expanse of water, showing that she has finally reached the freedom that she had been seeking out, that had been in her eye, just waiting for her to achieve it, extinguishing the fiery blaze of red as the Count dies with it. And with the Count gone, she shall enjoy such a freedom. When the light and shadow are joined, set us in the eyes of the goat that faces the high sun. A final scene that would foreshadow Lupin and Clarice, also the conflict between Clarice and the Count, with the shadow and light being Clarice and the Count. But what of the sun? Where does this one play into it? The sun here is being used to symbolize one thing: the new life that she must lead as a free person. The Count here didn't just accentuate Lupin's character, he made a name for himself that spanned far beyond this movie and far before it took place, creating a name that shall be remembered for years, for not just his writing, but his entire being, as a villain of the Lupin III franchise. My name's Talon Talks. Thank you for watching.